Did you want that recorded, David? I could re-record.
No, it's in my heart now. I don't need it recorded.
Okay, there you go. It's recorded in your heart. Okay. Anyways, okay. So timer, 6 lines up from the bottom. Yeah. So timer the kosa rachmana oleo. Now this. Oh, so that's what I was saying. This kasha is going to go for the next 3-4 block, and it's a yisaidistic. I hate the sound that Marchuk's on, whatever. This is a yisaidistic thing throughout Shas of essay doicha loisase. Right? Because
Where are you?
6 lines up from the bottom on Gimel on the base.
Okay.
Right. So l'chayra, we know the rule of essay doicha loisase, right? A mitzvah saseh should be doicha loisase, right? So yibum is a mitzvah saseh, and not marrying a sister-in-law, right, or a daughter or whatever is a loisase. So why shouldn't we say that the mitzvah saseh of yibum should be doicha loisase? And then you don't need any psukim at all. Well, meaning we said that the passuk alel tells us that you're not supposed to be miyavim, right? You're not supposed to do it, right? Meaning if not for the word alel, then we would say that it's mutter, right? So that's what the Gemara is going to say. Well, how do you know that essay is doicha loisase? And meaning the Gemara's assumption is that you need a passuk to tell you not to be miyavim your daughter or your sister-in-law and all that, because otherwise, if you don't have a passuk, you would think that you should do it because as doicha loisase says. And the Gemara first is going to try and prove who says that there's such a thing as doicha loisase. Right? That's going to take a couple of blocks. Yeah, so let's see. So time of the Kazar Rahman Aleha. The reason why you're not allowed to do Yibam is because the pasuk says Aleha. Right? Halav Hachi. But if it's not for this, Hava Amina, Achos Isha Meyavemes, that your sister-in-law, you could be Meyavim. And Achos Isha is just a mushal, because that's the one that it says the Farish. You have all the other arayos, would be the same thing. Right? L'chayru. But that's, yeah. Right? So my timer, why would it be mutter? It comes in a mitzvah saseh, it's doicha loisase. Right? So we all know this rule of essay doicha loisase. It's all very nice, but how do you know? Right? That's what the Gemara is going to try and prove. When did the Torah say that the mitzvah saseh pushes off a loisase, loisase greda? That's only by a loisase on its own. Loisase sheyesh by kares midachi. Is it going to be doicha loisase that has kares? And all these arayas are kares. And furthermore, loisase greda minol dachi. Who even says that essay is doicha loisase? Right? Who even says that concept? Now, I saw that the article brings the Ramban. It's a fascinating Ramban. That what's a pshat and essay doicha loisase? If they would be on, it would be a good Muslim. Okay, Shine, get him back on. Okay, but the Ramban says the Ramban says that a loisase, is you're scared of Hashem, so you don't do a loisase. A mitzvah aseh you're doing because you love Hashem. So ava of Hashem is a higher madrega than yira. So the essay, the mitzvah aseh, because you love Hashem, should push off the lower level of avodas Hashem, which is yira. Right? So that's what he's saying is the lumdus part. But the bottom line is we have to find out how do we know essay is the halachos. So now we start today's daf. So the top of the Amud, yet the siv. See, Uri, you didn't have to start them yourself. This is an independent sugi right here. The siv, yeah, the siv, because it says shatnez tase. Right, so you shouldn't wear shatnez, and you should make yourself tzitzis on it. That's the gedilim is touched as tzitzis. But Amar Rabbi Lazar smuchim and atay, meaning it says don't wear shatnez, and then right next to it says put tzitzis on your clothing. So what does one have to do with the other? Because they're close together. Since they're close together, we learn out that you can compare one to the other. How do you know that there's such a concept of darshaning in the Torah two psukim that are close to each other? Because it says smuchim la'ad la'olam asuyim be'emes v'yosher. That's a passuk in Tehillim. Right, so it says that they're close forever, and they're made with emes and yosher. So, meaning something that's close can teach you emes and yosher, which is teaching you halacha. How do you know if a yivama, her brother-in-law is a mukashrin, right? A mukashrin means he has boils and he's ugly. He's really ugly, and she doesn't want to marry this brother-in-law. Right? So that we don't how do you touch chaysim again? Not seal, muzzle. You don't muzzle. You don't muzzle her, meaning she can complain and say that she does not want to marry this fellow. So how do you know that she's allowed to say that? Shenemar says that you're not allowed to muzzle an ox while it's threshing, right? So you're not allowed to muzzle an animal while it's threshing.
But if he's not repulsive, then she can't say no.
So that's going to be a sugya later on in the Masechta. I don't remember whether she's allowed to. We had a reference to it yesterday, whether she's allowed to refuse the whole thing. But it sounds like from somebody who's disgusting, she certainly could. I don't remember what we come out with if she doesn't want to. She's just not interested, right? That's what you're asking. She's just not interested.
Why is it? How does this passuk go? You should tell me that it's a shor.
Because since it says le'sachsam shor b'disha, you shouldn't muzzle a shor while it's great, whatever, while it's working for you, and it's said right next to the passuk of yibum. Okay. So memela smichas parshiyos tells you that she doesn't. So that's how we know that smichas parshiyos. Yeah, it's interesting that's I mean,
a little bit of a stretch. I don't know if I could. I mean, calling my wife an ox might not be the best.
Correct. I was saying, we said that 2 days ago was Women's whatever day, right? Calling them that you don't muzzle them is not exactly going to endear you to you don't muzzle the woman. But okay. Anyway,
I won't say this one over at the suda. No problem.
Yes. Don't. Yes. It says, don't muzzle the shor. When two brothers sitting together, right? Which is the psukim about yibam. So okay, anyway, so that's how we know smuchim. Right? It's interesting that we're in Yevamas and we're trying to learn out yibum, that it's essay and we're learning it out from Tzitzis. And how do you know that you could darshan out Tzitzis with shatnez? From yibum, right? Which is just happens to work out that way. It has nothing to do with yibum, right? We're just proving from yibum that you can darshan smichas, right? Psukim that are next to each other. Fine. So even the one that holds that you cannot, we are about 10 lines down on Dalar Amud Aleph. Yeah. Even the one that doesn't darshan smuchim, the Mishnah Torah darish, but in Devarim, right, is that we do darshan smuchim. The Rabbi Yehuda ba'alma loy darish, Mishnah Torah darish. Rabbi Yehuda normally doesn't darshan smuchim, but in Devarim he does. How do we know that Yehuda doesn't darshan smuchim? So the Tanya ben Azai Omer Nemar michashifa loisachaya, right? Another wonderful term for women. Yeah, michashifa loisachaya, right? Michashifa, which is really somebody who does magic, right? Shouldn't live. I mean, she has to die. Anybody who sleeps with an animal should die. Some and those inyanim are next to each other. Just like somebody who sleeps with an animal is chayiv skila. Somebody who's machashifa also gets skila. So and that's smichas a parshiyos. So Amalei Rav Yehuda b'chimim neisha samku inyan loy noitzis el skila. Rav Yehuda disagrees and says because we're saimach on this with the smichas a parshiyos, that's why we're going to make this machashifa of chayiv skila. Ella, we know she's chayiv skila from Oiv Yadaini, B'chla Machshefim, Oiv Yadaini. Those were nations that were magicians and sorcerers, and v'yama lama yatsu. So if they're part of Machshefim, why does it say in the pasuk that the Oiv and Yadainim are chayiv? Lahakashlam, to make a hekashlam, to compare them for Laimalach and to tell you ma Oiv Yadaini b'skila, just like an Oiv Yadaini gets skila, michashifa b'skila, so michashifa also gets skila. So that's how you see that Rabbi Yehuda disagrees in the rest of the Torah and says that you cannot darshan out psukim that are close to each other. But he does agree that in Devarim you do. With Mishnah Torah minol in the Darash, and how do you know in Devarim that you darshan it? It's not noisa the manusas avim futas aviv, manusas benoim futas benoim. Right, a person is allowed to marry if his father raped somebody, right? Or he just coerced her, meaning normally you're not allowed to marry your father's wife or your son's wife, right? But you are allowed to marry if they raped. If it was incest, well, not incest, but if it was not through marriage, then you're allowed to. right? But Rabbi Yehuda, that's Tana Kama. Rabbi Yehuda Oiser Banusas Avim Fudas Avim. Rabbi Yehuda says that it's Oser by Anusas Avim Fudas Avim. Okay, he disagrees by the father, but his son to marry a son's who a son raped, that you're allowed, but not a father. My time is Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason? A man is not allowed to take the wife of his father. And he cannot reveal the knaf of the father, which means his clothing. It comes from the word wing, which is when you put on clothing, it's like wings. Knaf shara aviv lo yigal. The way we darshan it is the clothing of that your father saw. Don't be megala.
What
that
about
tells you that if the father was together with somebody, then that person is usher to you, even if it wasn't through marriage. That's the way Rabbi Yehuda darshan. We might. What's the problem, Rabbi?
yeah? So what? Not according to you, the other one, the Zoina is also a mutter.
As what do you mean?
Brings Zoinus to Mufata. His father, but his father went to a Zoina. Can he marry that Zoina?
Yes, he could. According to the Tana Kama, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So we might have anusa kstiv, and how do you know that this is referring to anusa? It says lo yikach ishas eshes oven, right? And then it says v'lo yikala knaf oven. How do you know that it's anusa? Me'iluya dekra, right? From the passuk that's right above it, right? Me'iluya dekra zaben dechsiv and nasan isha shaychiv ima lavi anara chamishim kesef. The passuk right before it says that the person that's talking about mafata, right? That the father has to give the girl 50 shekel kesef, right? And then it says lo yikach ish. So therefore, it's referring to somebody who was with a woman illegally, or right? Rabbanon. And what do Rabbanon do that they disagree? It will be close to it, like we said. But now that it's not really close to it, why? It's helpful to read the parentheses here. Since it says in between these two psukim, so then we're going to say b'shemeres yivama kasva davar. So then the passuk is not referring to somebody who the father raped. It's referring to somebody who's a shemeres yavam, who's waiting for the father to be meyavam. And it's going to tell you that you're over on two lav. Meaning, if you sleep with this woman who's waiting for yibum from your father, right? Your uncle passed away, and the father has to be meyavim her, this lady, right? And then the guy goes and sleeps with her, so he's going to be over on two lav. One, because she's it's an aunt, and two, it's because she's a yibum. So that's what the pasuk's going. So that's the pshat in Machlokes.
What's the reason the Rabbanan do not consider this a smichas?
What are you saying?
It is the same passuk. Why did the Rabbanan not consider this a smichas, like Rabbi Yehuda? Because the first half of the pasuk was in the way. It's still the same pasuk.
Right, but yeah, he's saying the first half's in the way.
It's the same Isser. What do you want it to say?
What?
The same
I don't know.
law.
I guess the pasuk should have gone straight. I don't know. Meaning it is off to a different subject.
It's not though. It's the same exact law.
Right, but the pasuk about anusa is in between. Is before that.
No, the pasuk about
Yes.
Anusa is right before it. Anusa and then this pasuk.
Right.
And the
So we're
Rabbanan saying
trying-
it's two separate lavim. Le'igal knaf avim is the same lav as le'ikach ish, or it's a separate lav.
It seems like it's some things we're dashing it separately.
And the Rabbi Yehuda holds it's the same lav. Mamela it's the smuchim.
Right. I get. Yeah. That's the lumdus behind the difference. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so now, so then the Gemara says, so Mishnah Torah. So again, we're saying that smuchim. Everybody's going to darshan smuchim and Devarim, right? We just have to keep reminding ourselves where we're going with this Gemara, because again, the ultimate goal here is to prove essay doicha loisase. That's what we're trying to prove. So we say we know it because you're allowed to put shatnez on your tzitzis, right? Because the psukim are said right next to each other. So if you're allowed to put shatnez on your tzitzis, shatnez is allowed, tzitzis is an assay. So you're allowed to do a mitzvah essay is doicha lois assay. Right? So now we proved that you can darshan smuchim. Fine. So now we're just going to say, well, how come in Devarim everybody holds you're allowed to darshan smuchim and the rest of the Torah not? So Mishnah Torah, my time with the Dorish, how come in Devarim you are allowed to darshan smuchim? Either because it's obvious, because when it's obvious in Devarim, because Devarim again is just a repeat of the whole Torah for the most part. It's a big Musar Shmuz from Moshe Rabbeinu and a repeat of the Torah. So if it's saying it's muchach, it's saying it for a reason. That's one. Or because it's extra, right? Because the extra psukim in Devarim have to be coming to tell you something. So it's coming to tell you the darshan smuchim. And then some say it's muchach. Now we're explaining it. The im kain lichta b'rachmana gabi arayis. Why didn't the Torah say this passuk by arayis? Right? Why is it not saying by arayis? Why is it saying randomly over here? So take it away, please. Sorry. All right. What happens if we don't have a study? All right. So why doesn't the Torah say it by arayis? Like the knaf of it, why doesn't it say it by arayis? Why is it saying stam in the middle there? So therefore it must be there to darshan. Or because it's extra. Why doesn't it just say, don't take your father's wife? Why does it have to say, don't reveal the clothing of your father? On Talmud Beis now. So therefore it's coming to tell you that it's an extra passuk. And since it's an extra passuk, that's why Rabbi Yehuda says you can darshan smuchim. Fine. But now we need tzitzis to be extra too. If we're saying that we're going to darshan smuchim only when the words are extra, and we're saying that tzitzis is next to shatnez to teach us essay doicha says, so then what's the extra words by tzitzis? We got tzitzis nami. Tzitzis also, it's either it's obvious, or because it's extra. Because parshiyos tzitzis. Why wouldn't you say this passuk by the parsha of Tzitzis? Why are you writing about Tzitzis when you're writing about shatnez? Right? What is it doing there? Must be it's telling you that you're allowed to put Tzitzis that's shatnez. You're allowed to have Tzitzis that's shatnez. Or we could say that it's extra because michti kasav a beged klayim shatnez lo yalalecha. It says don't put a beged of klayim of shatnez on you. So then why do you need to say the passuk of loisil by shatnez? Again, there's two psukim of shatnez. Beged klayim, don't put on you. And the other pasuks don't wear shatnez. Shmami no lafnuye. So since it has two psukim, so one must be extra. So then the Gemara says, but that's not true. It's not extra. Hani mitzvah tzrifi. You do need the shatnez. Now there's a lot of, unfortunately, it's a Friday, but there's shatnez is a hot button topic, right? So, and it also comes into Purim because some say you don't have to. You can wear shatnez on Purim. There's shitas. I don't remember exactly, right? But yeah, I mean, whatever. You have to check.
Why?
No, because it's not really considered a levisha. It's only costumes, not
Because you don't even know what you're wearing anyway.
It could be. Maybe, right? So let's see. So Hanach mitzvah tzrichi says you need both psukim for shatnez. The ikas rachman yala lecha. If the passuk would just say, "Don't put the shatnez on you," hamamina ki derech halah asar rachmana. Just by putting it on you, the Torah says asar afilu meikriksos. Right? The way they used to sell clothing back then is they would what do you call it? They would drag it behind them. Right, or like hold it on a stick, and the clothing would be touching them, the shatnez. So because of Rahmana leisilba shatnez, so the Torah says leisilbash. Dumi de levisha, the ispe hano. It has to be similar to when you wear shatnez when there's actually hano. When you're selling shatnez and you're just carrying it around, that's not hano. So then that would be okay. Because of Rahmana leisilbash, and if the Torah would have just said don't wear shatnez, avamina dafka levisha the nafesh hanayasa. Maybe you would think that's only to wear it when there's a lot of hano. You're wearing a jacket that has shatnez in it, you're getting a lot of hana. But just to put it above, right on top of you, then you can't. So that no, it's not allowed to be on you either, even if it's not actually wearing it. Right? It just can't be on you, right? So that's why when they had the hack with the shatnez in the baseball gloves, right? Listen, on the day that they're starting up baseball again, Rabban, we can't go without saying it, right? So when they had the shatnez issue with the baseball gloves, so even though you're not wearing a glove, but that's considered putting it on you. So if theoretically it would have been an issue, then that could have been that could have been an issue. But anyway, so the Torah is saying, the Gemara is saying it's not extra. The psukim by shatnez are not extra. You do need it. So the Gemara says vakati itzrich. So no, but you still need it, right? Salkadai chamina. Did I skip? I'm sorry, I skipped. Yeah, I skipped a few lines. So that's why we need it. So the Gemara says no. Im kain lichtov rachmana. Meaning that's why it's extra. It's not extra because you need it to tell you there's both types of wearing. So the Gemara says im kain lichtov rachmana loisilba shatnez. Why doesn't the Torah just say don't wear shatnez? Semaru pishtin lamali. Why do you need to say wool and linen? Michti. Kosav ubeged klayim shatnez lo yala alech. It says that the beged shatnez don't put on you. The Tana divei yishmael hayo benem b'Torah stam begadim. Anytime the Torah says beged in the Torah, uprat lecha kosav be'echamei and semaru pishtin, and in one passuk it says semaru pishtin. So I've called semaru pishtin. So too, any time it says the word beged, it means wool and linen. Right? So meaning Tana divei yishmael, this is going to play in a lot to tomorrow's daf. Tana divei yishmael holds that anytime the passuk, the Torah says beged, it's automatically talking about wool and linen, right? Because we know it from by tzaras, right? Which is we're learning it in Bez Hashem tomorrow. Right? We know from tzaras that beged means tzemeru pishtin. So why do you have to say by shatnez don't wear a beged of tzemeru pishtin? Beged automatically means tzemeru pishtin. So now tzemeru pishtin because of Rahman Alamali. Why do you need tzemeru pishtin? Shmami no lafnu. So it must be it's extra. So Gemara says no. Vakati, maybe it's not extra. It's halal is where there's not a lot of hana, where you don't get that much hana. But levisha the nafesh yasa. But when wearing it and there's a lot of hana, kol trei meaning also any two types of clothing are also not just tzemeru pishtin. Also rachmana kol. Trey, meaning Asa Rahmana. Any two types the Torah asks because Rahmana Tzera Vision. That's what the Torah wrote Tzemru Vision to tell you only wool and linen is a problem and nothing else. So then what it says, Im Kain, Lishtoi Kromine, Vitesi Shatnez Mehalos. So then you don't have to say Tzemru Vision, learn it out Shatnez from Halah. You could have Exer Shav of shatnez when putting it on you, right? Just like when putting it on you, it means Tzemeru Pishtin. So to here it means Tzemeru Pishtin. Yeah? Fine. So then the Gemara asks again, the Tana, the Devarim yishmael, time of the cousin of Rahman Tzemeru Pishtin. The only reason why is because the Torah says Tzemeru Pishtin. Holav hachi klein Tzitzis, hava amina da'asar Rahmana. Would I have really thought? If it didn't say Tzemeru Pishtim, I would have thought that Tzitzis is Asur, Vaksiva, Asul, and Tzitzis al Kanfe Videim. It says, make Tzitzis on the corner of your begadim. The Tana of Yishmael, call begadim Tzemeru Pishtim Haim. All begadim are Tzemeru Pishtim. Rachmana, Abed leit Tcheles, Tcheles Imrahu. And the Torah says, make Tcheles, and Tcheles is wool. Right? So it has to be that it's the passuk is automatically telling you that it's essay doicha loisaseh, even according to Rabbi Yishmael. And the Gemara says, "Umay the tcheles amru." And how do you know that tcheles is wool? Mid the sheish kisna. If sheish means linen, so tcheles imru. So then tcheles is imra, right? So whatever it is, why according to Tana divei Rabbi Yishmael do you need a pasuk to tell you essay doicha loisaseh from tzitzis to shatnez? It's in the passuk for sure. So when it says no, it's you need it. Rava, you would think like Rava. Now this does come in. The Rava has a stira. It says hakanaf min kanaf. It says you when you put the tzitzis on the corner of your begadim, it should be the same as the beged. Meaning if you have wool garment, put on wool tzitzis. If you have a linen garment, put on linen tzitzis. Uksiv tzemeru pishtin, but it says wool and linen. Haketzad tzemeru pishtin poitrin. Tzemer and Pishtin pater all begodim. Bein b'minon, bein shaloi b'minon. This we paskin, right? That's why we put wool tzitzis on top of cotton clothing, cotton garments, right? Because it is Gemara. Wool always paters any type of beggar. So Tzemer Bishon Pajim Baby Mina Bein Shalom Mina. Sharminin Beminin Pajin Shalom Beminon ain't Pajin. But other types of clothing, only if it's that same type. I mean, if you decide you want to make cotton strings, right, would be okay, but it would only work on cotton begodim. It would not work on wool begodim or linen begodim. So that's why he needs it. So meaning that's why the Tana Devei Yishmael will need it. But Tana Devei Yishmael less late the Rava, but Tana Devei Yishmael doesn't hold the Rava. It's if you need it, the Rava. Maybe you would need it because you would learn like the diuk of Rava, because it says hakanaf min kanaf, right? It has to be the same beged that the tzitzis have to be the same beged. This is what the Torah meant. Abid leit semer l'tzemer. You should make wool for wool, pishtin l'pishtin, linen to linen. And if you're going to do wool to wool, so then dye it. Make one of them. What do you call it? Tchelas. Avot tzemer l'pishtin, pishtin l'tzemer. But to put wool to linen and linen to wool, then you don't need to make tchelas. So because the Rachmana tzemer pishtin, that's what you would think. So the Torah said tzemer pishtin, afilu tzemer l'pishtin, upishtin l'tzemer. Even tzemer to pishtin and pishtin to tzemer, that you would still put on tchelas. Okay, so basically the Gemara is saying that even Tana Devei Rav Yishmael has these psukim as extra, and therefore you're allowed to darshan essay to say again. The bottom line from all this, it's Fridays, we do it very fast, but the bottom line from all this, what we're holding right now, is that according to at least Tana Devei Rav Yishmael, the word tzemer upishtim is extra, therefore it leaves it available to darshan smuchim, the psukim next to each other, and that will tell you that the mitzvah say of tzitzis is doiche, the loisase of shatnez. Now, what comes out from this is those that are anti-tchelis people, right? Because from this last Gemara, there's a whole issue exactly which string needs tchelis. Some say it's only one string. I think that's the Rambam. Then the others say it has to be a different string. So one of the things that the yeshivish or whatever, those that don't wear tchelis because they say we're never going to have tchelis till Mashiach comes. So one of the things is even if you have the correct one, we have no idea how to paskin, how to put which strings to use and how to do it. So you're not going to be yotze the tchelis legitimately according to all the shittas anyways. So why are we bothering? There is a train of thought out there like that based on this, where that you make one string tchelis. How do you make that one string tchelis? Yeah. Okay. Whatever it is, we will stop here. I hope that was semi-understandable.
What time tomorrow night? What time are we doing tomorrow
8 o'clock tomorrow night, Bez Hashem. 8 o'clock Musar. So yeah.
All right, good Shabbos, everybody.
Right,
And what time does the daf start?
At 8:03, 8:04.
Oh, okay, fine.
Musar not that long, Avram.
Too much Musar I can, a little Musar I can handle. 3 minutes I could hopefully handle.
I think we can all agree with you with that one. Yeah.
Have a good Shabbos.
Happy Shabbos.
Rabbi, what do you hold of the women's kriyas for parshiyos? Zachar? That allowed?
Naftali,
No,
you don't have
remember-
WhatsApp status? I don't understand, Naftali.
I remember. I thought your father or you said years ago that you're not supposed to take the same hair out for such a thing.
I'm not pro. I'm not pro. I'm not pro.
But didn't you say you could do it?
So, okay. I said people do it. Yeah. Now I got the guy texting me, a rabbi in Charlotte. Sheesh, man. Rabbi in Charlotte. He only has 9 people for tomorrow. Is it possible he'll get a minyan? It is possible. Should he close the shul to ensure that everyone gets his dafka, which is disruptive? Or should he continue and hope that I have no idea what this man is talking about. I'm going to call him back. Yeah. All right.
Jacob, if I have